Hello, welcome, good afternoon, and hope you're all doing well. Yeah, the football show is back with the A team. Nevin, hello, my friend. It's been a while. Our international break lasted a bit longer than the normal international break footballers have, but it was down to various reasons. Most of them, pretty much all of them, down to me, to be fair. But it's really good to be back with the football show. How are you, my friend?
How are you, my friend? Yes, finally, it's nice to be back and good to be doing this on a Sunday. It's something that we always look forward to, right? Like Sunday evenings, 4 o'clock, we have to do our podcast and talk to our fans as well. So it's nice to be back. I know Bharat is being very nice and saying that it's on him, but partly due to me as well. It's been the extremely few busy and unprecedented weekends for me as well. So hopefully, everything's going to be normal. And there's a lot of football to talk about. So just happy to be back.
Yeah, we've missed quite a few big stories, and I think the word of 2021 is unprecedented. I think that's been used in a lot of different conversations, but yeah, it has been, and we have a lot to catch up on. But like you say, Sundays were really special. Looking forward to the football show. Speaking to you, normally about ISL, but now we've broadened it to football around the world. But let's just catch up in terms of where you've been, because I know you've had a busy time covering the Olympics, which seems a bit of a distant memory now. Although it was full on for you at that time. But how have you been keeping busy and occupying yourself?
I sort of felt the need to take a break after the Olympics, and I think it's been doing a lot of I've been doing a lot of high intensity work for. I think ever since we started talking, I think I've been doing a lot of work. So I sort of switched off. I wanted to take some time off, meet my friends and do little things like that, and just stay away from work because I was sort of losing my interest in covering sports, and I didn't want to reach that state. So I started doing some other projects, not even remotely in, close to sports, just trying to take my mind away. Also been doing a little bit of upskilling, so I've been trying 360 cameras and drones and learning a little bit of new stuff here and there. But obviously, you can't take football away from our lives. So obviously, following all this, all that's been happening, and it's been a very eventful. Even though there's not a lot of football happening, I mean, there's Durant Cup, AFC, and all that, but somehow the conversation's been an all-time high. There's a lot of conversation on Twitter. There's a lot of conversation on social media, other platforms. So just generally been, I've been a fly on the wall as much as I can and been observing what is happening with sports and not really, neck deep in it. So it's been a nice break.
That's an interesting comment you made, because it was very full on. I know we were speaking during the Olympics, but as a media person who has that intensity, and you can have that sort of workload, it does sort of burn you out as well. But does it sort of you lose a slight love for the sport if you're in that intense environment?
I think it's very natural, and a lot of people talk about it. I think within the fraternity, it reaches a point where we don't want a person to win a medal, or we don't want the person we don't want the team to win the match because we just like it's extra effort. We're just tired and we just want to get it done with. So, um, I mean, that's not true. We always want the team to be successful and we want the medals, but like it's a conversation because we are all exhausted. And like say during the Olympics, we are working from 4 in the morning to like 11 in the night, and 11 in the night is a good day. Sometimes it can go up to like 1 in the night. So it was extremely heavy work, and it's not even like you could. I think lost a lot of weight during the Olympics because I was skipping
Really?
meals and yeah, I wasn't sleeping well. So I knew I had to take a break after that. So it. I mean, I loved my stint at Sportskeeda, but I knew that I had to take a little bit of a break and just start looking at football and everything a little bit. So hopefully I'm thinking about a documentary. Hopefully it'll start the I mean I'll start the process, and it's a difficult topic to shoot. So hopefully it'll have me engrossed, and Kalpand also I'm hoping to restart again, do a couple of videos just to get that old love for sports back. So next week I have a shoot aligned, so hopefully that's going to take place. So and it's been good. I've no complaints, but I think, and I think maybe in journalism or like in sports, there is at least a conversation, but I think everybody gets exhausted after a while. And it's important that we do get our breaks. And unfortunately, the pandemic and everything has not really allowed us to go take our, like, we always had our coping mechanism, but that just sort of got cut off. So I have like good friends across the country. I can't go meet them. I can't go to Delhi. I can't go to Bombay. I think I managed to slip into Chennai once, but like my friends are spread across the country, so it's been very difficult to catch up and just do normal things, just get a beer and just talk to a couple of friends. That's also not been possible, but slowly things are opening up. I've gotten back to playing football again, and hope I'm hearing that the swimming pools are going to be open soon. That'll be the best. That's the best thing that can happen. I miss swimming so much. I've not swam for like good 2 years, so hopefully that's what's going to open.
Well, in a way, I don't have any sympathy for you because in most places around the world, if you're burnt out, you have to go hundreds of miles to get a bit of scenery and a bit of relaxation with the weather and the view. You just have to open your window and wow, the views are incredible.
Um, I'm on the 17th floor right now. And the view outside is stunning. Maybe towards the end of the video, I'll show you that it's beautiful. So
Well,
something I'm gonna lure you to Kerala some days.
well, we have spoken about this, and just before I come to visiting the beautiful country, state of Kerala, and your views as to what's happening here, because I only get the true picture when I speak to you, because I read the headlines and what have you, but that's not giving us the full picture. But fantastic news about Galbunt, and that you're going to shoot a couple of videos. It's something that I love, you know that, and I'm not being biased here. They're fantastically shot, incredibly interesting story. So really looking forward to that. And I have to say to the listeners and viewers, if you've not subscribed to Vuvuzela, I don't know. I've read I look forward to receiving that email where I can read some unknown story to me. And the last one about Manipur and the one before that with Pune, that was really really interesting. How's that project going?
Oh, it's been good. I'm pretty proud of Vuvuzela because we've also been paying our writers. It's not even been like I was very clear that this is at the end of the day journalism and I want to respect the writers as well. So a lot of writers have gotten back and saying that, you're doing this way better than national media. We get paid on time. We get paid more than, a lot of these top organizations as well. And we are allowing them to write the way they want it about stories that don't get published otherwise. So it's been a great exercise. I wish there are more subscribers, which would mean we'll get more writers. And so, whatever I've been very transparent about it. I earned around close to a lakh rupees from subscription. And what I did was I took 20,000 away, which goes to the maintenance and the designer. There's a lot of illustration work as well, fantastic illustration work for that. And on top of it, I divided 80 by 24 24 editions, and I'm just giving out all the money. So I've got like literally not 1 rupee advantage running it. I just want to run it to tell people that journalism matters, and if you really pursue it, we can find a way where all these things can coexist. And I've also made a tie-up with the Event platform, so they carry our old articles so that there is justice to the story as well. It shouldn't just remain with a few people who have subscribed. So after a while, obviously, people who have subscribed get the first edition and the actual mail, but the story eventually goes out on the AVN platform as well. So sort of trying to make it as utopian as possible with the newsletter.
Well, I can't recommend it highly enough. And if anybody's not read any articles, have a look. And if you can share the link to subscribing, on, just from the quality of the articles and the stories that you find, I think it's well worth supporting. And the more people subscribe, like you say, hopefully we'll get a lot more of those quality articles and stories. So please share the link so more people can hear about it, and we'll share it obviously through our media platforms. Um, and in terms of sort of getting back to normal, how is it in the state? Because for whatever reason, in a good way, I suppose it's because of the way UK is that we've decided, the government has decided, we're going to live with it. We're going to take the hit in terms of deaths and positive results, because if you look by the figures, they're like what it was when we had fairly strict measures in uh, April, May, that sort of level of numbers you're talking about, whether it's hospitalizations, positive deaths. So in a way, COVID is not talked about as anywhere much now. I think everybody's bought into the government's view that yeah, we'll live with it, we'll take the hits, and we are normal. I mean, as you know, football's back to normal. I was at a game yesterday. No measures at all. How is it in Kerala? Because as you know, we've been talking during the week, and I'm really hoping to come and visit your beautiful state in November. How is it there?
I mean, Kerala is still one of the worst affected states as per the numbers officially available with the government. But within Kerala, I think we have a feeling that we're good in terms of our health infrastructure is not stretched by any stretch of imagination. We are leading the country in terms of vaccination. More than a crore people have double vaxxed, and there is no vaccine hesitancy anywhere. Everybody's queuing up and getting it done. So I think after unprecedented, the next commonly used term is a new normal, and I think we are all just embracing the idea of this new normal. And hence, I think I've seen a lot of places open up. I think dining is also now in the next week is going to open up with 50% capacity. And it's only fair, Bharat, because I mean, when you look at the other side, there are shopkeepers who've been paying rent for the last 2 years. There have been so many people who've been rendered jobless. So it's only fair that we now start pushing on, and we have to think about these people as well. We were the lucky ones who got the salary regardless of what went around. But a lot of people really depended on, like, and Kerala is a state that really thrives on tourism. Imagine the kind of setback we would have taken in the last 2 years. So I am all for opening up. I think it's reached a point where we can teach people about the importance of vaccination, make it as smoothly available as possible. Even Sputnik is now available in Kerala, the one shot variety. So hopefully things will get better. I mean, my grandmother was not keeping well for the last 2 3 weeks, so she was in and out of the ICU, and you got to see a lot of post-COVID cases. So the reality is still grim. This is something that really hurts the body, and people should take it seriously in terms of getting a double mask or getting an N95 mask, using the sanitizer. Nothing should stop. We should not think that this is over. It's far from over. It's there. It's a reality. But we need to sort of figure out a good way. If you can afford to not go out of home, you still should. I mean, should not go out of home ideally. But we need to find a middle ground also. It can't be that the state just gets locked down and everybody is rendered jobless. So hopefully there's a middle path somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, the UK hasn't chosen the middle part, and you mentioned the new normal. It's not the new normal; it's the same old normal. Apart from the work related, a lot of people are now used to working from home, so I think that's the biggest change from before. So yeah, here it's very, very different. Everything's open. There's, even in the news, the stories are usually a 1 minute segment halfway through the news. So that's how much it's changed here. And I think we are the only country that's behaving this way. But it's not going to be possible to lock down people now that we're back to normal. But I take your point, and I'm hoping things will improve in the next 4 or 5 weeks. There's not going to be a third wave or anything like that, and I can visit this beautiful country and tick that off my bucket list. So looking forward to that. But let's talk about football and what's been happening, because let's start with home. What's been happening at home? And I've been looking at. Well, I was going to start with talking about the Duran Cup, but let's mention ATK and what happened during the week. A bit of a reality check against the Uzbeks in the AFC Cup. And ATK were playing pretty much their first 11.
I think ATK took this lightly. There is no two ways about it. I think the preparation wise, they were just not prepared enough for a team as good as their opposition. So Partly to be blamed, but partly is also reality check for sure. Like we are nowhere close, and that gap cannot be closed by getting fascinating foreigners. I mean, it has to be only closed through good Indian players. And unfortunately, ATK did lose Sandesh Jhingan. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to be, but like, I mean, whether they should have approached that match, which is that's a bigger question. And Habas is giving out reasons like the pitch. We are not used to playing fast football, and that is what a coach is also there for. I get what he is pointing out. Like I know that the gameplay is generally very slow in India because of the surface and other issues like that. But that's I mean, as a coach, when you know there is an opponent who's going to play fast kind of football, there is so many coaching methods which can be used to prepare the team in some ways. I was talking to somebody in FC Goa a couple of days back, and I asked him what they did right against tough AFC opponents, and he admitted that they were lucky. So on that day, the FC Goa overperformed because they said within the team there was a lot of conversation on the same issue that the pace was just too much from the opponent. They were relentless, and there was no space. FC Goa produced say 200% of their capacity on that night and in that tournament. So ATK perhaps were on their 60%. So I think that's the biggest difference. And partly the opponents were in Goa. They had hardly any time to prepare for the tournament when they were playing FC Goa. So I think in this case, they didn't, really suffer due to bad pitch or difficult circumstances. I think it was home favorable conditions which really led to the riot. I wish they had like played like an underdog, ATK, and just shut shop, do the bus parking, and try to figure out a result rather than go there without any. I think it's a lack of preparation, to be very honest. I think the coach needs to take the blame. All those points that he highlighted is correct, but it's not something that can be changed overnight. That's a systematic change that needs to happen in Indian football. And I don't even think that's a priority. There's a lot of other things that need to be changed in Indian football. So it's going to take a long time to reach there.
Yeah, but the golfing class was quite big. I mean, we have to say, Nassaf are regular competitors. They're usually in the Champions League, and but to lose 6-0 and against one of our, well, arguably the best team in India last year, it was surprising. Obviously, Goa. Some people will say Goa were playing at home, so that makes a difference as well. But still, I didn't expect this sort of a result from ATK, and I think I don't know. I get your point about the standard of football and they're not used to that pace, but these are all internationals, homegrown and overseas. But used to playing overseas as well as a national team, and so the other guys who've come in. But it was still complete thrashing that I wasn't expecting. And like I looked at I didn't see the game, but I saw the report and the lineup, and I thought there's something, maybe a few players missing, but no, there was a full team out, and I was expecting more from ATK. Put it that way.
I think this is just an extension of what happened against Bangladesh, what happened against Nepal. I don't think we need to see this as a separate story. What has been happening to the national team? There's no direction. Football's poor. We don't have any right to say that we are better than Nepal and Bangladesh anymore. We just sort of edge them. So that's a reality, right? So if that's where our national team is, how can a team from this country be significantly better? When I mean, our clubs can compete with clubs in Bangladesh and Nepal. That is a reality. We can't compete with these West Asian, top teams. So what FC Goa did remains an anomaly. It's not anywhere close to normal. And if you ask FC Goa to do it again, I doubt whether they can replicate the same thing as well. So we need to really change things in India. We
We
are
say
there
this
is
every
so
year.
say that every year. Yeah, I mean every month. I think now you're part of the system now. You've been here long enough to know this. But really, have more competitions, have more, have that doggedness in football, right? I mean, this is my problem with the Arrows project as well. I know everybody comes pointing their guns at me whenever I call out the Arrows project, but like the youngsters are just said, go play. Where is that fight? Where, I mean, you have to fight for a relegation, you have to fight for your, place in the team. At 18 to 21, you're developing these youngsters who just can't take the step up. I mean, I mean, the 2 days back we were discussing on what Kerala Blasters need to do and how this team can actually be something, and the answer came from within. It has to be that we need IM Vijayans and Joe Pauls and those legendary kind of figures who's going to inspire a generation of footballers from within. You have to identify from here, and you look at the potential stars at 18, 19, 21. They've already, colored their hair. They've got millions of Instagram followers. They're already stars. They don't have to do anything else. They've already stars. They earn more than a crore a year at 20 years, at 21 years. It's I mean, I partly blame social media, but I mean, social media is also reality of things, right? So you need to really inspire a generation of sports persons, and I think this will only come with a lot of mental health training, a lot of education, because I mean, again, something I was just sort of struck in a recent conversation that Tiao, our first captain, the first captain of Indian national team, who also got an offer from Arsenal and he turned out. Tiao was also a surgeon, having a top class doctor as well. And on top of it, I was reading about C.K. Lakshman. He's Kerala's first Olympian. Again, one of the military's highest grade doctor. So we've come from a position where our top footballers were also super smart, talented people, and now we've reached a position where none of these people go to schools. They can't think beyond. I mean, I'm sorry being very explicitly open here, but like all they think about is Instagram profile, which woman is liking their profile. It's annoying because I've worked with footballers. I know what they do all day, and this is just not good enough. The system really needs to push them to study, push them harder, not just pamper them at the age of 18, 19. Go to school, go to work out, get this thing out, or get chucked out of the system. The system can't be that you don't perform and you still get the money and everything. So it's a very problematic setup. I'm not even saying that there is no money in Indian football. There is just no, like, they just don't know what to do with the money. And this is something that I again blame the ISL, because they came in and they inflated the prices just beyond redemption, because it's a new product, because they wanted it to look something different. They were offering, I think, in 2013, 2014. I don't want to name the players, but they were average I League players were getting what an Ishukumar or what a Indian team or like Indian starting 11 probable is getting today in 2014-15. So they just inflated the prices, and then everything went up. The demand on I League teams also went up. A lot of players were thinking, Jesus, if I'm getting 1 crore and if I have a 3 years contract, I will take it up even if that doesn't mean I don't kick a ball, because I need that money. I'm not coming from a very privileged situation. So I don't know where to begin, Bharat. It's so bad that you need some sort of a charismatic leader to come in and revolt first, because there's too much dirt in the system that you need to remove. And then sort of say, I'm going to change this thing in 10 years, and I'm going to start like 15 academies across 15 excellence centers. I'm going to bring the students, I'm going to give them exposure, I'm going to put them under some pressure. If you don't get 80 marks out of 100 for the subject, you are out. It's not just football. If you don't get like 75 out of English, you're out. So that you are also making a group of really responsible, strong individuals, and it's not just. And I hope that happens with the girls as well. It can't be just a boys project. It has to happen like holistically. It has to involve our girls as well. In a country where there's no women's league, I don't know what I'm imagining, but yeah, this I mean, this is the sad reality. And I mean, I think I put out a tweet the other day. I said. I have great respect for people who are optimistic about Indian football, because that ship sailed for me a long time back.
I know it was one of the first things, it's a bit of a reality check for me. And I'm, like you said, I'm not part of the system, despite what you might think, but I know the system well enough to lose quite a bit of optimism. We do have little sparks of light, but they get put out really quickly. But from what you're saying, and from, my experience, very, very limited experience with football, that it's really easy at the moment. And for the players, there's no real proper competition for them to progress, to work hard. And I've shared my views about some of these players with their sleeve tattoos and coloured hair. I've mentioned them before. I've called them out. They're not at that level that they can get away with it. But it seems from what you're saying, and I agree. Actually, it seems to be a bit of an easy life at the moment. If you're an ISL player, take the money, and they'll probably scream at us because of the training they'll probably assume that they go through and the preparation and what have you. But I get you. I get where you're coming from. And we've had Coach Floyd on this show a couple of times. He's very passionate about the Arrows. But yeah, I mean, with the sort of a second division being formed now, I think the time is probably right now to instill a bit of competition for that team. Keep the team going by all means, but make them work to stay in the I League. So the I League has a bit of meaning as well, that there's not one team that's just turning up and regardless of the result, they'll be safe, but another team that's putting in 110% but not getting the breaks gets relegated. So yeah, I totally get your point on that. But in terms of you mentioned the standard of football of where we are as a nation, as a club in Asia. I take it you're not looking forward to the SAF Cup too much.
I mean, I'll watch because I'm hoping that it'll be the youngsters that are going to play, and there is going to be some plan to sort of develop a B team or like a strong competition to the main squad, because main squad is like completely out of ideas. It's just very bad football. And we've been like, I think ever since the podcast started, and I think 2 years prior to that as well, we've been like talking about Sunil Chetri's successor. And we've seen glimpses, look at FC Goa, for example, at the Durand Cup. We've seen a couple of good players there. We've seen a couple of good players with the BFC reserves. So there seems to be that potential, but which club is going to take a gamble and play them regularly? Like an Ishan Bandita was quite good coming off the bench for FC Goa last season. He's made a move this time around to Jamshedpur. Is he going to get a chance? Because I think Jamshedpur has signed four strikers. So is he going to get a chance there? I doubt it. So it's going to be tricky, but I hope that the SAF Cup is. I think if I remember right, it was the SAF Cup which saw Changte rise to prominence. I remember right one, if I remember right, this fellow I remember googling, and there was no article back then, so made a couple of calls to AFF to figure out who he was, and there was a reporter, our local reporter covering, so we made him do a profile and an interview and all that. So this is an opportunity for youngsters, and I hope the tournament is seen that way and not as a let me get some brownie points by securing a win or something. You have to take this seriously and also win. It can't be that you play a bunch of youngsters and say, oh, it was a bunch of youngsters, so it was just a great experience for them. Screw your experience. You need to now win. You have a system in the country. You have so much money flowing there. You have to be responsible also. If you can't produce the results, move out. Let somebody who can produce the results take over, because this is at the end of the day, if you want to outrage about taxpayers' money, here's one example. This is just outrageous, right? There's no results. There's nothing. Well, in fact, if given a choice, I would say if it's my tax money being used, put it on the women, for example. At least they are more likely to give us some success. What is happening? So strange days, but
So,
hopefully we can.
will you be disappointed if you see Sunil Chhetri playing all the matches? You see Gurpreet Singh in goal for most of the matches, and if we don't win, I mean, this is the frustrating part for me. That the next highest ranked team in this tournament, I think, is the Maldives, and they're about the 150s, and we're 107. Forget about the size of the country, just the standard of football. I just can't see why we're not beating. I mean, we saw what happened against Bangladesh in the qualifiers, and for the life of me, I just don't understand why we're not beating these countries so comfortably, year in, year out, no matter what the competition. And we should be playing the under 23s in the SAF Cup. That's the level we should be at.
I mean, it also is down to, I think, bad coaching. I don't necessarily think our players are that bad. Okay, I mean, talking about Nepal and Bangladesh, I'm not talking about anything else. I think we have a squad good enough to beat them. But then when a team sits back and defends, um, India seems to have no answers. And that's ridiculous. Somebody like a Brandon's got great shooting abilities. Can we then have like a strategy where we are taking a lot of shots from outside the box? Do we then have like a poacher in like Pandita or somebody who's playing along with Sunil Chetri? We need to have a. I mean, that's what good teams do, right? Like it's not like suddenly a team sits back and we have no answers and we just complain, oh, they just sat back and defended. No, you have to find a way through, right? And good teams will find a way through. So if you're trying to cross the ball and their defenders are just heading it away again and again, you figure out another way, or you become smart enough to challenge for the second ball. I mean, they can win the header, of course, but where is the ball dropping? Do you have players there? And somebody like a Suresh, an Amarjeet, all these are very, very good at winning the second ball. So you need to figure out a team and not just pick some 11 as if you're playing a FIFA match on your PC, and pick a team, think throughout the match, be proactive with your substitutions, and you should ideally beat a Nepal and a Bangladesh with all due respect to their squads. Because they don't have the finishing. I mean, it would have been strange if Nepal and Bangladesh had a Sunil Chetri with them. I think they would have defeated us. They don't seem to have that clinical poacher. But going back to your first question, whether I'll be disappointed if Chetri is playing, not really. Um, I mean, I don't necessarily think you should just play an under 23 squad. We should have like couple of experienced heads, and if Chetri can be that figure and inspire a sort of a young generation to play along with him, that'll be good. But I will be sad because if he is the only striker playing. I would want him to play in a slightly either his favorite left, sort of a left forward role, or he's now sort of playing a withdrawn secondary striker role, whatever. But it must mean somebody like the next generation striker, whoever it is given a proper shot, because I was mighty impressed with FC Goa's Nevin. His composure, scoring a lot of goals as well. So all these youngsters are out there waiting for an opportunity. Give it to them. Give it to them at the age of 18. Give it to them at the age of 19. It's it. If Nemil can go and perform in the lower leagues of La Liga, then he can play for India. There is no two ways about it. And give him that opportunity right away. Let's not wait another couple of ISL seasons where he might or might not play. We don't know. FC Goa is such a talented squad. We don't know how many games he's going to get. So just give him that opportunity, because at the end of the day, Constantine believed in Rolin Borges, and that was one of the reasons why he started playing early. Changte also, I think he was influential in terms of giving the opportunity. So hopefully we'll start feeding these youngsters into the team as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see. I mean, the player you mentioned, he's not being selected in the squad, but the usual names are there. A couple of new ones for me, like Mohamed Yassir in midfield, and yeah, we'll see who. You say that this tournament has produced some players before that came into the national reckoning. So, but we'll see about the performance. I was going to say that if we win the tournament by the odd goal in the group stage and then 1-0 in the final, I don't know. But I suppose we'll have to see what the performance is like as well. I've got to take a question here before I move on. It's from a guy that joins pretty much every single show that we do, so I'm really grateful for him. But it's a question for you, Nevin. It's from Shubnam Nayak, and Shubnam, I mean, you join every week. You should come on the show. DM us, and we'll get you on the show. But he's asking, Nevin, have you heard any news about the Reserve League? I'm assuming he's talking about the
He's
ISL.
talking about the ISL.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of conversation about it. In fact, last year, a lot of teams like Kerala Blasters played an unofficial reserve league where wherever, I mean, they were playing the same match with the same opponent. Some of them agreed to it, some of them didn't. So that they were getting some sort of a exposure, but nothing confirmed, and very unlikely this season because of the corona restrictions and the bio bubble and ground preservation and all that. Maybe next time around, but Shubnam, to be very honest, nobody can predict Indian football. So I mean, I think even somebody like Sunil Chetri has highlighted the need for a reserve league. But the people at Dwaraka needs to decide how to go about this. Whether it's going to be an FSDL product itself, do you want to give it off to somebody else? There might be these upcoming broadcasters who would want to carry it. So maybe Star Sports don't want to do the production. We can still show it because I know a club like Kerala Blasters is going to get a support for reserve league team as well. So it's not something all too bad. And if it's an all Indian league, there's a lot of scouts, a lot of proper football enthusiasts who are all going to be like watching it. So I hope it happens, but unfortunately, I've got no information about it. In fact, I think I know enough to know that it's not going to happen this time around.
Well,
Well,
he's saying
he's
he would
saying
love to come on the
he
show. So yeah, just DM your details and we'll get you on the show, Shubnam, so you can ask directly from the expert as to what's happening in Indian football. Just before we move away from the SAF Cup, like I said, the least we can expect is the trophy to come back. Because let's not forget, we did not win in the last tournament. The Maldives beat us. So but we'll look out for the performances. But I heard a rumor. I don't know if you can clarify this, but the federation have asked to join the Central Asian Football Federation, where the likes of Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, I think Iran, Afghanistan, so proper footballing nations that would really test us. Is I think that's the level that we should be aiming at. But if we were to enter a tournament with the likes of those countries in those countries, while it will be really good and that's where we should be, it would be a tough assignment at the moment if you look at it.
So the deal, from what I understand, is that they have invited. So it's like sometimes these foreign teams coming to Copa America, right? So
Right.
it's not like you are invited to be part of the setup. It's just for like a tournament based invitation. So India will continue to be part of the SARC setup and not the Central Asian. But that said, I mean, I don't like I we should never pass up these kind of opportunities. Go play difficult teams, understand what it is like, because it might at least motivate a couple of players to improve, if not the entire team and the in the federation and everybody else. Go there, even if it means losing 4-0 or 3-0 or whatever. Just go there, play your heart out, and learn from that experience, right? So India should never shy away from doing it. But as fans, we need to also be very realistic about what to expect in these tournaments. It's a reality check tournament more than anything else. And go there, figure out a setup. I always believed India should always be set up for a counter-attacking. We are not necessarily a possession-based. I think Habas sort of touched on it in terms of the pitch quality not being good enough for fast football, which is essentially saying the weight of the pass and things like that can get a little wrong for Indian footballers kind due to the infrastructure we have. So always be that very resolute defense team and have like 3 4 really good counter attackers on board, like very pacey. I thought it sort of peaked with Udanda and Chetri during the last days of Constantine reign, but Udanda has had a dip, like a severe dip post that era, and Chetri is not getting any younger, so his pace has also dipped a little. So we need to figure out another very fast counter-attacking setup and incorporate that ideology into the Indian football team. So that way, it doesn't matter if it's a Bangladesh that's playing or if it's if it's a good Iran, Iraq that is playing, because the team will always have that same DNA. And what it helps also is that when you are not a team that is meant to keep a lot of possession, it is very difficult for teams to play a low block because you are not really pushing them, and they can't stay there. So they will also be broken, and at least the midfielders will have to push a little forward. And then if you have that counter-attacking or that kind of, a killer pass making midfielder, you will always have the runs from the forwards, and that's how you beat the setup, right? It's very, I mean, at least on theory, it's not always this easy on practice, but which is why I feel like you don't need to feel bad that you're not dominating a position against Nepal or Bangladesh. It doesn't reflect badly. We need to have an ideology. It's not like 80% possession against Nepal is going to win us an award. Just have that very solid ideology, which is a fast counter-attacking attacking team with a good defensive base, and just keep working on it. How, like, just why is there need to experiment every match? Why
Yeah,
is there need to,
agree.
tinker with it every day? So hopefully, I know I'm sounding very pessimistic in this episode, but this has
Well,
been like a
it's the reality of where Indian football is, and it's something we talk about pretty much the start of every season. But just to finish up on the international, Shubnam, to be fair, makes a really good point. I mean, we know we're not going to leave South due to the political connotations around that, but he says we should try and get under 23s invited to the various tournaments like the Central Asian and even the Gulf. They have under 23, so I think that's a really good shout and the way forward. Very quickly, I mean, the Durand Cup has been going on. Goa and Bengaluru in the semi-finals together with Mohammedan and Goa. Oh, two teams from Bengaluru, in fact, in the semi-finals. Have you had any chance to see the football? Because it is one of the traditional historical tournaments. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, because obviously we don't get any coverage here. But two teams from Bengaluru in the semi-finals, and together with another name from the historical books, Mohammed Sporting.
It's been a very interesting tournament because of the criticism. It's been horrible pitches, and it's been raining cats and dogs in Calcutta, which has not helped the cause at all. So there's been a lot of conversation as to how unhealthy this tournament is for a lot of players, a lot of serious injuries as well. So I think that way it's been getting a lot of publicity. And in terms of the tournament and prestige, I think I saw a very interesting tweet today where the person highlighted that yes, there's legacy, but you need to also understand that this is a modern team, and you can't, when there is such a low prize money involved, for teams to come there with main squad and risk these injuries prior to the tournament, it's just expecting too much. That's just not the reality of it. Either you up the prize money so that it's worth it, otherwise don't. And the grounds are a mess. I mean, I'm very sorry to say this, but it's very very bad, and it's not really meant for football. I mean, it would be meant for a very entertaining football in like Takeshi's Castle or something, but otherwise, like it's not a sort of proper football ground at all. So, but nevertheless, I think a couple of teams have taken this opportunity to field youngsters. So I've been really impressed with FC Goa. A lot of youngsters there, Nemil being my favorite. And then Bangalore FC has also used it really well in terms of Leon Agustin, Chetri, Bhutia. A lot of these youngsters, showing that there is a good future there as well. Um, FCBU is a very interesting team, Bangalore United. I think they're backed by very good people. It's a good management. It's a club to watch out for the future. Richard Hood is involved. Gaur Manki Singh is involved. It's also one of those managements where I keep hearing that in terms of facilities, in terms of everything else, it's been very professional. So to see them there is a very interesting sign, right? And Delhi FC under Ranjit Bajaj also was there till quarterfinals. Losing to FC Goa is not a small feat at all. They did defeat Kerala Blasters as well. So it's nice to see that the I League qualifiers suddenly have very interesting teams in and the fact that something like some team like a Delhi FC can go and challenge a Kerala Blasters, who's gone there to the tournament with their full squad, goes on to show that the difference from the top to the bottom in Indian football is not so much, and which is why we have to keep crying for promotion and relegation. That is the beauty of things, right? It's not so different. So Get these boys a chance to play at the top level as well. Get them, spotted. Let the system move. Let there be like a full circle. Let's not let that team stagnate on top. And that will also mean a lot more loan moves, a lot more clubs willing to invest in footballers. It's just overall better for the football ecosystem to have like a circular motion for this for football growth. So I mean that way I think Duran Cup has been a good eye opener in so many ways in terms of the footballers that we've identified, the realities of Indian football, the challenges that we face. So I think that way I've been happy with Duran Cup, but as a footballing spectacle, it's been a mess because of because of the conditions in Calcutta.
Yeah, that's really, I didn't know about the conditions, but what it doesn't surprise me. But it's good to see these clubs. I think they are planning for when relegation and promotion will be brought in, like the likes of Delhi. We know Ranjit, he's been on the show, and Bengaluru. It'll be good to see if both the teams from Bengaluru proper derby in the final. That'll be a good challenge, challenge for Bengaluru to see where they are. United, that is. But I think it's an example that tournaments like the Rovers Cup, the Federation Cup, the Durand Cup, they should be brought in as part of the pre-season. So you get these other teams competing against. All right, there might be ISL reserve teams, but if they get beaten in a regular basis, you'll see proper ISL teams competing as well. But it shows the standard, like you said, the gap isn't huge at the moment. Um, just and like I said, we'll see what pans out, and if there is a Bengaluru derby, that'll be a proper one rather than Kerala against Bengaluru or something like that. That's about 3-4 hours distance. Moving to Europe, who had the better deal, PSG with Messi or United with Ronaldo?
Mm, Tough call actually for me. Obviously, Messi seems to be the bigger bet in terms of everybody thinks he can give the Champions League to PSG. But Ronaldo is a very clever move by United as well. I think that whatever he does, he's going to score 20 goals. And United thought, okay, that's a very easy investment because Ronaldo is going to sell T-shirts and merchandise for sure, and that's the case for Messi as well. But here it's somebody who can bang in those guaranteed goals also, and they thought, okay, they are not getting a Harry Kane or a Haaland this summer, so might as well go for a Ronaldo who, I mean, at 36 also he's not going to. I mean, he's no longer the same player, but he's still very clinical in and around the box. So um, I think by the grand nature of it, Messi seems to be the bigger deal because nobody expected Messi to move. There's so much like happening in the summer. There's a lot of conversation. Ronaldo thing happened very fast. You started hearing a rumor for City. 2 days later, he had signed for United. So I think just by the scale of it, the Messi move seems large. But I was just talking to my friend. I mean, this is a team that also signed Donnarumma, Sergio Ramos, Hakimi, Van Alden. What a summer PSG's had! Like that. Any of these players, if you sign, you would be happy as a team. Like if Sergio Ramos was the only player that you signed in your team, you'd probably be still happy because he's like a elite winner. Donnarumma, for example, top European keeper. So the fact that Messi was signed along with these teams, I think what PSG has there, like in terms of squad, it's humongous. That said, having a lot of players is not good enough, right? You need to still win with them and still figure out a way how Real operated. I think in the Galactico days, they need to figure out a way they're all happy and they're going to win a lot of stuff. I don't think it's been all rosy. I've not had a chance to watch
No,
League One. I don't think it's been rosy at all. They've been eking out with 1-1s and stuff. Messi being substituted, that's
that
causing a lot of
created
drama.
headlines.
Created headlines. Yeah. So and it's not been very rosy for Ronaldo as well. I mean, I know he scored a lot of goals, but United has also not been playing great football, and it's like you have a issue with a water leak at your home. You can obviously get a seal to close it for a while, but at the end of the day, you still need a plumber. I think with United, I think their problem was the midfield. They didn't really address that issue, and they just got a Ronaldo this summer. Maybe they were better off looking for a good central midfielder, which I think is still lacking in that
Mm.
squad. Somebody who can defend, and I think that problem is still a headache for them because McTominay, Fred, Mattis don't seem to be the quality. I mean, they have quality across the pitch otherwise. With
Oh yeah.
even though Sancho has not really hit the ground running, they have good quality across the pitch. They've top signings and top players everywhere. So that center midfielder is something I think they should have broken the bank or figured out a good, young player to be slotted there. But right now, I think that's getting exposed a little. So it's not been rosy for I think both Ronaldo and Messi, but they're just too good to just. I mean, their mediocre season will still be a good season for most players. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're headline signings, but both have not started well. And there's, like I said, the substitution with Messi at PSG the other day that created headlines. Is there a rift already? And that what comes with these sort of players when you start. You can't substitute a player without creating a controversy. I mean, that's ridiculous. But like they struggle against Bern in the Champions League. United, as you know, lost to that last minute fantastic goal in Switzerland, I think it was. But here, there's talk around, while Ronaldo is a sentimental comeback and financially it'll be brilliant for United and for the Premier League, it's really brilliant to have him back. But it's not something the United were needing, like you say. They didn't need that sort of player in the midfield and they were going down a different route, but all of a sudden they get a 36-year-old, which is going against the previous signing. So a bit of a weird one. But after yesterday, it'll be interesting to see who takes the next penalty because the two Portuguese guys are very passionate. And what do you think? Do you think Fernandez will get the next one?
I think just for the sake of order, I think Bruno is going to take another one. But if Bruno is going to miss another one, I think that's the end. Then it's going to be all Ronaldo. So there will be extra pressure on Bruno as well. It could
Yeah,
lead to a situation, I think, like last year or like 2 seasons back in Barcelona, where they were really struggling to finish penalties because there were so many takers there. Suarez, Messi, but no, none of them seem to be scoring a lot of penalties. So could lead to that. While till Ronaldo was not there, Bruno was clearly the favorite, and I thought the penalty he missed, he didn't go for his that hop, skip, and jump sort of approach. For he was
no,
just blasted it. So
it
that
was a
really
really
shows his
bad penalty
confidence is
miss.
also yeah. It's just the pressure is really on him. So
Do
let's
you
see.
think this year it is the strongest Premier League we've had? And we've usually had, the top six, but now it's the big four.
Yeah, the Big Four is back, and Big Four doesn't feature Arsenal, so
No.
it's yeah. So I think there's a Big Four, and I think there's a really good six below them as well, who can on their day beat the top four. So it's going to be really intense Premier League. I think Leicester, for example, has not had the best of starts, and they have a decent squad, and look at how Brentford is playing. Look at how these clubs have really risen, and Brighton has been playing really
Yeah.
well.
Although they were
So
lucky last week.
yeah, but twice was it? So
Three
two
times.
two goals tonight. Three. Yeah, but like at least they're competing. It's not like they were pushovers, and they've developed a good team there. Good to see Welbeck scoring goals. So I mean, I don't even consider both Brentford and um, Brighton amongst that six that I was talking about. I think there's somebody like a Rafa Benitez will never be easy to beat. I know Everton's had their slips here and there, but on big days he will come fully prepared, and he will have his team ready for it. So it's a good league. It's a fascinating league. I've been like really liking how Chelsea's been set up till yesterday,
I was going to say,
where I think yeah,
yesterday
yesterday was
was,
very uncharacteristic, and it felt like Conte more than Tuchel.
mm,
So. Sorry, yeah, there was no intent to attack at all, and yeah, just and I mean, I might be a little wrong here, but Lukaku does change the dynamics a little. He's not going to run and defend, so everybody was comparing it to this final against Manchester City in Champions League. And you have to understand that both Havertz and Werner were constantly running that day. They were offering a lot of runs, and in Mount they had a very dynamic midfielder who can join the forward line. Yesterday Mount was missing. Kante just couldn't cope with the attacking demands from his position. And with Lukaku, you lost one runner also, because he will offer the body. He's a good target man and all that, but Chelsea couldn't stretch that defense. And there was nobody playing into the channels as well, because I think Kovacic, Jorginho, and Kante in the center offered no real attacking threat
You,
from. So sort of, I think Tuchel played it into Pep's hands. Chelsea can blame themselves more than anything else. And to be honest, Jorginho and Alonso have their flaws. They're exceptional footballers, but they have their flaws, especially in a very intense tournament like the Premier League, where physicality. I think the moment Alonso is playing in the defensive half, it is trouble for Chelsea.
mm,
If he is in the attacking half, it's a good game. But if he is in the defensive half, I think Ben Chilwell is on any day a better option. I know he's struggling mentally and he's had like his problems, but like an informed, fully focused Ben Chilwell is always a better option than Alonso when in these matches, I believe. And Jorginho also, I think the moment he got lifted for Loftus Cheek, you could see that sudden, composure and the drive forward, because Jorginho has no pace. He can't run past a midfielder.
mm,
So he is always looking for that ball out. And sometimes you need that drive. So I think the only drive from center midfield comes from Kovacic. He's the only one who can carry the ball. So somebody like a Loftus-Cheek or a Mount is very important in that spot as well, if you're going to play a defensive setup like yesterday. So, I mean, I'm sure Tuchel understands this better than we do, and he will hopefully address this. But I mean, I think it's a good reality check for Chelsea, and the pundits were getting really overboard. They were just saying this is Chelsea's league to be won. I was like, oh my god, how can you jump to these conclusions like into like three matches, four matches, and they were already writing it off, and this is Chelsea's league to be won. You remember we had this discussion before the tournament, and we clearly thought Manchester City is going to be big.
mm.
We clearly thought Liverpool's not. I mean, as long as the main squad is fit, Liverpool's going to be really good. So it's not really a surprise for us, but like sometimes just pundits get overboard. I'm sure they'll start criticizing Chelsea next week also. It's just what they do. So,
Well, they got rave reviews last week in the second half performance against Tottenham. Kante really changed that game, but I was surprised with the selection yesterday. And I saw the first half before I went to the Leicester game, and you just couldn't get out of your half. You, the pressure from Man City, you couldn't break it, and you didn't have a plan B, which was surprising with Tuchel. But fair play to Man City, they came and did a job, but I think Tuchel helped them in that as well. But in terms of the top four, at the moment with three losses now, isn't it, for Man United? There's already headlines about Ole this morning in the papers. But Klopp again, Brentford, the atmosphere at Brentford it's not just the atmosphere, it's the football as well. It's very good to watch. They're a good team to watch, and I wouldn't say that about too many teams in the Premier League. You know, they are quite dour. Some of them, like even Aston Villa, I wouldn't like to watch them, but they came out with a result yesterday with a dodgy decision. I mean, that was the. I mean, don't get me started. Yesterday, that goal was allowed. Yeah, two of our goals against Brighton, very exactly, pretty much the same way, were disallowed. The refereeing standard has been so poor, and in our Europa League game against Napoli, we're winning 2-0, but the referee was so bad, it's unbelievable. But it was good a European night as well against Napoli. I mean, they're a class act. They are a good team, but we were 2-0 up, and Brendan decided to change a few things, which allowed the Italians to come back. And we've got Legia Warsaw away this week, so looking forward to see that. But the fans, I don't know if you saw some of the headlines. There was, I mean, Napoli haven't got the worst reputation, but 97 arrests. I can't remember the last time That's happened at Leicester. You get one or two arrests, but 97 arrests, they're quite vicious. And Leicester's in for a shock when fans from Moscow and Legia Warsaw come into town. So that'll be interesting. Something to not look forward to, but look forward to in another way as well. But I've just got to end. Really good news about the Indian women's team. You said that if you want your taxpayers' money, I'd like it to be invested there. They're getting some friendlies in UAE in preparation for the Asia Cup, so that's a good sign. And I've heard stories that they're going to go and hopefully come to Europe as well to carry on with their preparation.
I'll be happy when it actually happens. So I'm like, so I mean, the friendlies will happen for sure because now that they've announced it. But the others about going to Europe and all, we've been hearing this about women's team forever. So if it happens, it happens. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So we will hold our horses on that. But just generally, I think there's been a lot of noise. We journalists, a lot of people on Twitter, we've been making enough noise so that it's been heard. So I think it's partly a success from all these people who've been talking about women's football religiously and following them, telling their stories, and credit to them. I mean, I've not talked so much, so I've no right to be claiming it, but there are people who religiously, keep track of Indian women's football and talk about it openly. So I think it's a partly due to them that the federation is in pressure, and especially when the IWL was cancelled, a lot of people called out and said, how can you not even have a league? I mean, the league itself was a sham, which is like a 2-week tournament,
Yeah.
but that also you take away from, and then you cite mysterious reasons like they need to be prepared for like some tournament here and there, all that. But and Gokulam, I mean, we need to highlight that they put out a very strong jersey, sort of supporting the women's team, both their home jersey
All
and
right.
their away jersey. Yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I think even a lot of international publications carried it. They were really, I think Masa, somebody, carried the news. So I think a lot of people are, I mean, not a lot, but there are people putting in a lot of effort to ensure that the conversations on Indian women's football remain. And I think this is just a result of that rather than actual keen interest from the federation. So hopefully we can all keep doing it so that our women get enough football. And yeah, listen, we were supposed to host a World Cup. So we better be prepared. Why are we still not, talking about, girls team and, women's football and stuff? So hopefully, hopefully we'll just keep doing it and annoying the federation more to a point that they take this seriously.
Do you know while you were saying that, I think we need a list of things for Federation. It'd be about our volume, wouldn't it, in terms of what they need to do to get things right. But we'll keep the conversation around Indian women's football going as well. But that was a good piece of news. But you mentioned this shirt, but it just shows the power of Kerala in terms of just a few digits on the back of a shirt can take over Twitter. What's the meaning behind 1973? But it's the power of that football club supporters is they win every single poll, but even something like that generates huge conversations. Um, I think you've muted yourself there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I was saying is that I don't even think the 1973 campaign was deliberate because they've done nothing on the jersey per se to you could have incorporated something from from those days. Put an image there, put the Kerala logo, whatever. You just put like 1973. I really doubt if there's been a lot of thought behind the campaign. It's sort of almost like an afterthought. We've made a very generic yellow jersey. Let's put 1973 just to highlight. A lot of Kalpantha content has been used in their video, by the way. So credit
Oh,
to me for digging out all this stuff. So
you need to get
um,
paid for that, my friend.
yeah, I was thinking it's just I love those footballers. They featured in Kalpantha videos as well. And I've had the honor to go talk to the coach as well in Tanjavur. That video is also there in Kalpantha. So I was thinking like let them get as much exposure as possible. It's not
Yeah,
about me.
yeah.
Yeah. So that way I didn't really make a fuss about it. Like yeah, whatever.
No, but
But
the power of
the power of
the supporters of the
the
yellow jersey
supporters
is
of the yellow
incredible.
jersey is
Anything is a big
incredible. Anything is
compensation.
I wish
Very,
we could like generate electricity out of them. That would be great.
very quickly before
Very
we
quickly
end,
before we
the last couple of weeks, the conversation has turned to biennial World Cup. What are your thoughts on that? Good thing, bad thing?
bad thing. Bad thing. I mean, I don't want to change. I think probably because I am a very that way very traditionalist because I want like my World Cup to be in summer and not really disrupt the thing and also I mean that 4 year wait is what sort of made a World Cup really worth it, right? I know everybody is trying to leech into whatever money that can come
Yeah,
out of this product, but come on, let's not kill the golden egg laying
yeah.
chicken. Yeah, it is beautiful the way it is, and sometimes you don't need to do that extra. We just figure out something within. If you want to earn money, all well and good. I'm not that guy who would say you should not generate revenue, but you have to respect the sport and what it means for a lot of people also, right? If for example there's a World Cup every 2 years or every 1 year, then I'm sort of like, Bharat, I think your background just disappeared by the way.
Oh, has it?
Oh, has it? Yeah, now it's back. And yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't care about it so much. I wouldn't probably even watch it if there's a World Cup now and then. So I think that's the case with Copa America. There was suddenly a lot of Copa Americas happening from Copa America centenary and this
Yeah,
that and all. Yeah. Like every other year, Messi was losing a Copa America, and I was like, what is happening here? I'm not even keeping track of this. So I don't want that to happen to World Cup, or
agreed.
even if that means better opportunity for football against smaller teams and all that. I think it has to be what it is.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely, 100%.
Another topic that we agree on, but the main topic we agree on is that it's good to be back with the football show and talking to you as well on a Sunday. It starts, ends the week, starts the week, whichever way you look at it in a great way. But thank you again for your time, my friend. Keep up the fantastic work. I look forward to reading more of Vuvuzela, and don't forget to share the link. Let's get those subscribers up. And obviously the video is coming up in Calpunt as well. Looking forward to that as well. But you stay safe, my friend, and we'll catch up again next week, hopefully.
Hopefully. Bye bye, Bharat. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.